Hey y'all, I wanted to talk about my one of my favorite movies of the year. I saw the TV Glow. This movie's phenomenal. I don't care what anyone has to say. I absolutely adored this movie. I saw it in theaters and then I showed it to my girlfriend and we both loved it. Maybe it's because we're in our mid 30s and the timeline matches up perfectly. Golly, the way that this movie looks, the art direction, the sound, the soundtrack, it's just impeccable. It's phenomenal. It is moving. It's transformative. The performances are on another level. It's intense. It's heartbreaking. It's funny. So essentially what you have is this coming of age / personal awakening, discovery, acceptance story wrapped up in a 90s dramatic, scary adult, young adult drama type TV shows that you would see in the 90s, like Are You Afraid of the Dark? Or So Weird on the Disney Channel or something like that. It's also downright terrifying at times. There was one very scary scene. So essentially it's this kid who is kind of raised by TV and has semi to relatively serious strict. They are strict parents as in terms of a bedtime. So the older that this kid gets, he continues to only be able to stay up so late. But one day at a school meeting or gathering or something where his parents must go, he meets a couple years older girl who is reading a book. And it is an episode guide compendium of a show that she watches called The Pink Opaque. And this is a show that is currently airing in this universe. The main character sees that and has always wanted to watch that show, and also just kind of sees this loner girl as maybe something akin, maybe some sort of kinship that he sees in her. And so he goes and he starts a conversation with her, and she begrudgingly is okay talking to him about the book and about the show, and says that he could come over one day and watch it. It airs like at 10:30 or something, and he has to go to bed at 10, something like that. And so what he does is he devises this plan to say he's going to sleep over at a friend's house, but his parents are kind of sus because they're like, you haven't even talked to that kid in like a year. I didn't even know you guys were still friends. And he's like, yeah, for sure. We're still friends. I would like to go. Mom drops him off. He's got his sleeping bag and his backpack. He goes to the door, pretends to hit the doorbell, but doesn't hit it. And then mom drives away and he runs over to this girl's house, which is presumably not next door and is a little bit of a trek. So he puts in this work. The girl has a friend over and they're kind of dishing about the boys at school and the girls at school and all that stuff. And then the main character kid shows up. It's kind of awkward. They like don't talk to him. They don't really acknowledge him. And they're like, hey, what's up? Kind of, at the very most, they sit down to watch The Pink Opaque. And it's classic Nickelodeon 90s show about these two girls who live across the county from each other, but they both share this gift to see into this other dimension. It's a Monster of the Week type young adult show. The big bad in this show is Mr. Melancholy, and he is this moon shaped man who lives up in this other dimension, and he messes with everything, and the girls are there to fight him. So they watch the show. The boy is interested but doesn't quite understand. There's a whole lore that the girl explains to him. She is just obsessed with this show. She knows every little detail, every piece of lore about it, and explains it to him very excitingly. And they, definitely connect a little bit about the show. And it's very sweet. and they have a little heart to heart, and then he stays the night, but he has to be out before her dad gets up. From that point forward, we skip in time. So now he is older. He is played now by Justice Smith. Essentially, what happens now is, even though he's older and they're in high school together, he still can't stay up to watch the TV show. His parents are still quite strict about his bedtime. They don't really talk that much at school. They're not like buddies and chit chat. However, she loves this show so much and loves talking to him about it that she records every episode on a VHS tape and leaves it for him. It does this really cool thing where it's this tracking shot behind Owen, I think his name is, and it's tracking through the hallways of the school, and you've got these little notes that she leaves with the tapes about the episodes. So she says like episode 202, you know, and then the title of it, and season 2 finale guaranteed to make you cry, or oh, next week episode, you know, looks like this, and blah blah blah. I hope it's, you know, her expectations, and she just wants to share it with him. And it does this cool thing where it's writing in this pink marker across the screen as it's tracking behind him. Very, very cool. The music too in this scene is so perfect. The whole movie is a vibe, and the vibe emanates and it just rushes through you in every possible way with the visuals and the music. It's amazing. The dark room, I think, is where, not the janitor's closet, but like the dark room, she leaves the tapes. Eventually, after I would assume months and months of these videotapes being left, he eventually goes up to her at lunch or after school. She's on the bleachers outside. He goes up to her, says like, hey, thanks for the tapes. We haven't talked for a long time. Thanks for everything. Could I come over again and maybe we could watch one of the episodes? And she's like, okay, we're older now. You know, I like girls. Like, I'm not into that if that's what you're trying to do. And he's like, oh, that's totally fine. I don't even know what I'm into. He says like, I'm into TV shows. You know, I haven't even thought about that. So that's what they do. He comes over and watches an episode. I want to say it's the finale or something like that. It's maybe just a regular episode. I can't remember. Then they have another heart to heart after the episode. He puts his sleeping bag down and she kind of sits next to him and explains the show a little bit, but also explains that the show makes her feel like she can kind of escape this world. We don't really know her relationship with her father. I don't think her mother's in the picture, but her father seems to be maybe absent or on a substance or something. And she uses this show, she says, to escape. And she wants to physically escape. And she wants Owen to come with her. She says, we are kind of kindred spirits here. Let's go. I'm going and I want you to come with me. I'm leaving. He kind of, you know, thinks about it and kind of has this like, am I really going to do this? You know, he seriously considers it, but you see some kind of hesitance with him. She does this really cute thing where there's these little ghost, really simple drawn ghost things in the show, the pink opaque, and they are like little glowing tattoos on the back of their necks in the show, and Maddie is her name. She draws one of those on the back of Owen's neck that night. So he wakes up in the morning, he runs to his friend's house that he's told his mom that he's staying at when he goes to visit, and he rings the doorbell. The mother answers the door and he says, you have to tell my mom that I have been lying to her and I'm not actually staying here, and you can't let me go with her. I don't want to go. He's very nervous and frantic. He very much does not want to go. He doesn't want to leave with her, and he's very worried that she's going to make him, or he's scared about the idea. So he's begging this woman to tell his mom that he's been lying. He can't leave. He doesn't want to leave. Fast forwards 6 to 8 years, and Owen is working at a movie theater, and it seems that Maddie really did go through with it, and she left. She went missing, and her television was in her backyard, and it was burning, lit on fire, when she was reported missing. Owen works at a movie theater now, and on the way home from the movie theater, he sees this tree that hit a telephone pole, and it's kind of sparking, and there's like a big mess, and in the mess he kind of sees this piece of paper, and he picks it up, and it's a burnt page from the Pink Opaque episode guide that Maddie had. So he's out shopping one day, and he goes grocery shopping, and he sees Maddie, and she's just kind of standing. They end up going to a bar to talk, and he's very concerned. He tells her that everybody thinks that she's dead. She kind of is like, yes, I understand, but she has something important to say to him. She asks him if he remembers watching the Pink Opaque. He says yes. I came over on Saturdays and I watched it with you. She says, when you remember watching it with me, do you ever feel like things are out of place, or that you're remembering it wrong, or that time feels funny when you think about it? And he gets kind of freaked out. Not really sure if it's like he understands what she's saying or not, but it's freaking him out for sure. And she says, we get this little scene that is him at her house, and she watches him come out from a doorway, and he has this beautiful pink dress on, and he looks very happy. She looks kind of proud. And then we go back to the bar, and he says, can you just tell me where you've been? And she says, okay, I've been in the show. I've been in the Pink Opaque. He mentions that after she had left, she sent him one more tape, and it was the finale. And in the finale, Mr. Melancholy takes over, kills one of the characters. Essentially, he is having these memories of the Pink Opaque kind of being mixed together. Like, there are memories that he thought were from the show that were actually things that actually took place with him and Maddie. And it kind of like freaks him out. And he's seeing these things where, like, is it a memory? Is it part of the show? That's the scariest part, is these shots of the show and Mr. Melancholy. And you kind of get this jump to he shoves his head into a TV, sparking, and his dad comes down, pulls him out. He's kind of screaming during that whole thing, and he's like, this is not my home. You know, he kind of realizes that he either realizes or feels like the Pink Opaque was his reality, and he's having trouble reconciling like what's real and what's not. But he knows at that point that he doesn't want to be in this reality. There's this long dialogue from Maddie in the school, I believe, under this like planetarium type thing, and they got the constellations up, and she's giving this huge dialogue. It's really intense and really well done, so well delivered and acted. But it's about how she wanted this burnout guy to bury her alive, and he would pay her money, and she did follow through with that, but then she regretted it, and she dug herself out. It's beautiful. So after the planetarium, she takes him out to the football field, which is the same place that this final episode took place, and it's identical. And he's just kind of reeling from all of this information and what it means to him, and he can't really cope with, like, this was part of the show, but this is real. And so what was real and what was part of the show, and these emotions that the show made him feel, maybe they were real emotions that made him feel that way, and he can't really cope with that, and so he runs away. It then flashes 20 years into the future, and Maddie is gone. Owen works at a family fun center. He has a family of his own, bought a new TV, and takes out his old tube TV. He watches the Pink Opaque on streaming services, and it's nothing like he remembers. It's totally kiddie and like bland and corny. It's just not the same. That is not at all what he remembers. It's so different. His favorite show is now not what it used to be, and he's older. He is kind of sickly. He's kind of like coughing, but they're having a birthday party. In the middle of the birthday party, he kind of has this overwhelming moment of emotions and just starts screaming, and everybody in the room is kind of frozen and is just still, and he's like screaming bloody murder. And then he composes himself, he apologizes. Nobody notices, nobody bats an eye. They didn't see that. Goes into the bathroom, and he's just kind of like has this thing, this heavy thing, something he cuts. It's not bloody or gory or anything, but takes a razor and he cuts his chest open, and he opens it in the mirror, and this bright light kind of comes out. It's over, and he's walking through the family fun center, and he's apologizing about his outburst, and then it cuts, and that's it. So it's just beautiful. It's just a really sad, really, I would say, atypical way to tell this story of self-identification and who you really are, and not being able to accept it, no matter how many times somebody tries to show you, or that life shows you, that some people have a really hard time accepting things about themselves that they deny are true, and that they are beautiful and bright, and it's in them. Sometimes even when you cut yourself open like that, metaphorically, there's this bright shining light inside, and you still just can't accept it, and you move on with the status quo. It's incredibly sad. It's incredibly personal. The execution is beautiful. The shots are amazing. The music is great. The performances are wonderful. It's not really a horror movie, but I think it's close enough that I want to include it. It does have a very, very scary scene, and it's dramatically tense in a scary kind of way that horror movies sometimes will give you. The slow burn one. This is also a slow burn. This is not action packed. This is a character study. It's just beautiful. I loved everything about it. I'll be thinking about this movie for years. I'll watch it over and over again. I would not say that necessarily thematically that this is for me. I think this is very much a trans identity movie, and it's written and directed by a trans woman, and it's just incredibly personal. And even not having gone through anything like that, it still connects with me. I still can connect with the personal acceptance and loving yourself, and the message that, yeah, Owen can't really do that. And it's very, very sad. And I think about a lot of people who probably feel like that, and the little parts of me that I feel like that about. It's just great. It's great. I believe it's on HBO. Please go watch it. Anyways, that's all I have to say about this one. Peace.